You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode. Good morning and welcome to Power Talk. This is Micah Ponce, the Communications and Media Specialist here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative, joined as always by Miss Libby Roig, the Director of Marketing and Communications.
Good morning, Micah.
Good morning. Well, we have a special guest in here with us today, Miss Lori O'Toole, the Marketing and PR Coordinator for the Berkeley County Library System.
Yes.
Hey, I got it right.
Da-da-da.
I was reading an acronym and I was like, make sure I got this right. All right.
Yeah.
All right, first hurdle of the day passed. I set a low bar. That way the day can only get better. Well, folks, we're going to be talking all things books and libraries here today. But Miss Lori, as we bring people in, we always bequeath them with a ceremonial coffee mug.
Thank you.
And if those of you who might be bilingual might have caught Miss Lori on our other podcast that we have, Conversaciones Electrovagantes. So that's our Spanish language podcast that she was already featured on, and she already got a mug there. So we cannot be outdone. We cannot let.
Well, I mean, truthfully, I was just so amazed at all the programming that the library system has available. That was all new information to me. And, you know, my family loves books and has lots of books, and try to encourage my husband to go to the library instead of buying books because he could take them right back, you know. But so, yeah, we're so excited to have you, Lori.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we intentionally stole you from Yahira. But you can go back, too, if you want to.
Well, the other part of having a new guest on the show is we ask that you share a little bit about your background and how you ended up with us today.
Okay. I'm the Marketing Public Relations Coordinator for Berkeley County Library System. I started there in 2018. I got my mass communications degree in 2013 from ETSU.
Okay.
And I've been there ever since, almost 7 years in October.
I thought you might have gone to USC because that's what they call the same. They got the same name for the degree.
Oh,
Marketing and Mass Communications,
yeah.
or bachelors of Mass Communications,
Yeah.
which is something that is usually journalism, and so USC was the only one that I had come across so far that was Mass Comm. But, hey, what do you know?
Yeah. So, what drew you to working for the library system? You know, mass communications degree, you can kind of do a little bit of anything, but what drew you to the library?
Well, my previous experience was actually with Parks and Rec, and that was in Johnson City, and so I decided to try a different avenue.
Awesome.
So how true is the show Parks and Rec? Have you ever seen that one?
I have.
That was actually my favorite. I prefer that one to The Office. Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec is solid.
Yeah, that was my go-to. So I love that one.
And I live in Goose Creek, and our city administrator is a dead ringer for Amy Poehler. So they, on their social media channels, do a lot of funny things. They did The Pit and Little Sebastian and stuff. So
oh my goodness,
I'm here for it.
1,000 Candles in the Wind, Little Sebastian.
Gosh, it's hilarious. Well, again, today's topic is all things library. You know, I can remember when I was a kid, my formative library experiences at the Colton County Memorial Library. You know, back when you had to use the card catalog and photocopy pages from an encyclopedia. And kids, if you don't know what an encyclopedia is, ask your parents or your grandparents.
People used to go door to door selling those.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But you know, I'm sure a thing or two has changed.
Absolutely, yes.
Since that time. But so tell us a little more about Berkeley County Library System's mission and where all you serve.
Okay. Our mission is to enrich lives by informing, inspiring, and illuminating. I serve by providing content for social media, media releases, graphics, and attending events, taking pics to ensure BCLS's message is consistent with our various communities.
Nice.
Well, you know, we're gearing up for summer. It's kind of hard to believe. Thankfully, we've gotten past the dreaded pollen season here in the low country.
Tree pollen.
Yes, the tree pollen. That was no fun for anybody. But summertime's right around the corner. Schools are going to be out fairly soon. What type of reading programs does the Berkeley County Libraries have lined up for the community for the summer?
Well, we have our summer reading program, which the theme this year is Color Our World.
Mm-hmm.
And that is offered to children, teens, and adults. And it's a program that the registration begins May 19th. And when people go through the program, then they can record reading logs and different things like that for the books. And they can use audiobooks. They're not limited in what they want to read or listen to. And then the actual program starts June 2nd through August 2nd. And there's prizes, and we have summer performers. Every year we have Tim Sonnefeld. He is a magician.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Miss September. She is a ventriloquist. I have to say that slow. It's very hard to say.
And she can say it without moving her lips.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
We all have our own unique talents.
Yes, so those are the summer performers. I don't have the dates yet, but if people will register on May 19th, we'll have all that information for everyone. And our summer reading program is just wonderful. And the kids love it, the teens love it, the adults love it.
Do you get a personal pan pizza at the end? Thinking back again to my childhood, reading books, the Book It program.
Oh.
Yeah, you read so many books and you got a coupon for a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut.
We're not doing that now. Maybe in the future. Possibly. Who knows?
Well, yeah. But what a nice theme, Color Our World.
Yes.
So are we learning about art or different cultures? What's more about the theme?
That's a good question. It looks to me like the theme is more about different ethnicities.
Okay. So
people with disabilities, incorporating everyone.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think it's about.
Terrific.
Yeah. Now you were saying that adults can take part of the reading program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are there any goals throughout the reading program? I mean, sort of how does it work? I mean, you're trying to reach a certain number of books read, or
You have reading. You have reading logs where you log the books that you've read or listened to.
right?
And I'm not sure exactly how many, like the total that
Okay.
you have, but it is a goal
Mm-hmm.
that everybody tries to pursue. It's difficult for adults, I think, probably.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's not as much time for adults sometimes. That's one of the reasons why I wake up early in the morning. I always just drink my coffee, start my day,
Read a little.
usually read a little bit. Now I used to read at night, but now that I'm getting older, as soon as I hit this pillow,
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I'm out.
Yeah, my husband reads every night 20 to 30 minutes. It must be nice.
Yeah,
But
no.
if
It relaxes you.
It does.
It
but
relaxes you.
yeah, if I lay down, I'm out in 3 minutes. Just so the morning is not something I've tried. That's a good idea.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I'll prop it up on my chest and I'll be out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like didn't read a single page. So
Yeah.
morning time has definitely become my go-to time for reading. And actually, I mean, that's one of the things we talk about. I guess you said you got started young. Was there anybody who inspired you to read, or was that just something you picked up on your own?
Yeah, I just loved the stories, and makes sense that I work in communications and tell other people's stories. But we were talking before the show. One of the books that sticks out is Wrinkle in Time from my childhood, and it's probably 5th grade, but just had wonderful teachers growing up in Walterboro, and just loved being transported to a different reality and learning about other people's stories.
Well, I mean, as we know, I mean, studies have shown that it's very important for children to start reading as early as possible and being read to and everything else like that. I think they said something like 90% of a child's brain development occurs from birth through 5 years old, and so the kids who start reading early are showing that they are performing better in schools when they're ready, to to take on the classroom and everything else like that. And for me, it was my grandmother. She was actually a librarian.
Oh.
And so she started me 10, 12, somewhere in that neighborhood is when I really got hooked on reading. And it was a guy named Piers Anthony, and it was a fantasy world called Xanth and the Spell for Chameleon. I think it was like 70s when the first one came out, but hey, I'm kind of old, so probably appropriate. But I mean that sort of sparked it caught a hold of my imagination, like you said, got transported to different worlds, and I've been reading ever since, and I probably read at least 1 or 2 books a month at a minimum. So
Yeah, my husband's an avid reader, and we're trying to still instill that in our son. He reads under protest, but we offer to buy him any book he wants, or he's got his library card at the Goose Creek Library. And,
Good.
But another thing he enjoyed was, as a baby through kindergarten, we were signed up for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and he loved getting a book in the mail each month, and those titles are so well selected and paced for the different development levels, and then the final one is getting ready for kindergarten or something similar. But that was a really special experience for him. So, when we think of libraries, we obviously think of books, but one of the things I was so pleased to hear is that Berkeley County libraries offer a lot of programming that's not book related. So what non-literary programs do you have in store for this summer, Lori?
Okay. Well, you mentioned the Goose Creek Library, and they're going to continue their programs in the summer. They have chess club, yarn therapy, Dungeons and Dragons, every other Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m.
I might have to bust out my old Dungeons and Dragons character.
I thought that might be something you might be interested
Who is your character?
I think it was, you're making me remember, it was a good while ago. It was Glendar the Barbarian. It was I think got to like 14th level fighter. My brother was our DM. He convinced me and my dad to play. My brother was really into it. So,
Well, you need to come to Goose Creek, because we also have one for ages 9 through 12, and the other is for 18 plus.
Okay.
Every other Saturday.
You fit in the 18 plus category.
Plus.
Oh my goodness.
They also have a genealogy club.
Okay.
One-on-one tech help, Hello English, and Toastmasters All Aboard Club, and the summer reading performances. That's Goose Creek. You want me to continue?
Yes, yeah. Tell us.
Okay. Additional events include the Shield of Rights, the Constitution. There's going to be family movie morning, penmanship, crafts for families, summer bag craft, sun printing, and summer reading performances. I didn't mean to say that twice. And for the teens, we have Mario Kart 8 tournament Saturday. That's going to be on May 17th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Now they can register at berkeleylibrarysc.libcow.com. They can register for that under the Goose Creek calendar. And then we have...
So for any of these programs you're talking about, you're going to go to berkeleylibrarysc.org, and
Yes.
I'm sure there's links on the homepage to navigate.
Yes.
Toastmaster is interesting that you guys are offering that at the Goose Creek Library. I've never participated, but I've heard really wonderful things about. It's great to help give you some practice in public speaking and learn more about how to be a more effective public speaker. Do you have a lot of participation in that program?
I think this may be the first time that this is starting. Yeah. So we're going to get that off the ground. Yeah. So Daniel Island Library has Tai Chi, Daniel Island Social Bridge Club. They have recorder class, deep thinkers, writers group, crafternoons. We also have Cooking with Chef Rebecca, and that's going to be April 23rd, 10:30 to 11:30. They're going to have the summer reading performances also.
Okay.
And Mont's Corner Library has Knitting in the Corner. Knitting, not knitting. Knitting in the corner.
Knitting in the corner.
Drop-in computer help for senior adults. That's happening in April right now. Adult bingo at the library. We have STEM programs, Crafternoon, Lego Free Play. Also Cooking with Chef Rebecca. That's going to be April 19th. That's just in a few days, next week. and that's 10 to 11:30 a.m., and they're going to have summer reading performances. And Cane Bay Library is going to continue with Lego Free Play, Family Craft Time, Lego Team Up, Needlework Groups, and summer reading. Hanahan Library is going to continue with Crafternoon, Spanish Storytime, Book Club. Sangaree is going to continue with Bring Your Own Craft, Wonderful World of Crafts, Adult Crafts. And St. Stephen Library is going to have game days each third Thursdays, and Cooking with Chef Rebecca, What's in Season, April 30th, 3:30 to 4:30, and summer reading performances. And that's just a snippet.
So Cooking with Chef Rebecca, is that a kids cooking class? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Cooking with Chef Rebecca is something that we launched in September 2024, and we have Kids in the Kitchen that we started off with, and then the other class was all ages, and it has really taken off. I've been to a lot of her classes where I've taken the pictures, and you would not believe how many kids really like to cook. And that is a really good thing to instill in children.
Yeah, it's a basic skill that always gets overlooked a lot.
And some adults don't even have it.
Oh, no, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I love to cook and love to bake, but I have the patience of a squirrel, and so my son would love to learn more about cooking, but when I'm cooking, it's usually for a functional purpose of getting dinner on the table, or I'm in, just trying to deep concentrate on what I'm doing, and I just don't have the patience to bring him along. And so this might be a good opportunity for him to learn, because it is so vital.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets more than 3 ingredients, I'm close to tapping out. Because some of those things, If you don't cook regularly, by the time you go out and buy all the ingredients, I mean, you've got a very expensive meal, especially if it's got a lot of spices and that, and the other. So, I mean, it's something. Make sure that when you're out there buying those staples, something you're going to use more than once. Because I think was one of the things we did. It was like a shrimp wrap, lettuce wrap, or something, and so. Had all kinds of Asian flavors that we didn't have in the house, and so by the time that I got done buying everything, I was like, I just could have driven to the place, eaten and gotten it for cheaper. But I mean, still, it was an experience we had, here at the house, and everybody, got to sit around the table and have a good meal and cooking. And I mean, some of the other programs that you mentioned that y'all have going on this summer are interesting as well. I mean, like genealogy, here in the Low Country, there's lots and lots of history, and there's lots of families who have deep roots in the area. And I was actually talking just yesterday or the day before to somebody who was like, it's kind of odd because I'm a transplant from Florida. That's where I was born and raised. Lived all over the South, and then ended up here in South Carolina probably in my teenage years, only to find out that my grandfather, who was very into genealogy, one of the things that he found out when he started doing the deep dive is that we have roots right here in South Carolina at Edisto Island, the Baynard family. And so it was just, happenstance that I ended up right here in the Low Country, and lo and behold, got family roots from here. So
just took a detour.
Were you able to trace back where your ancestors came from? What country?
Yes. A little bit of both. Mainly England.
Me too.
Yep.
1500s.
Okay. Yeah. So we were, my grandmother's side of the family, especially, she was from England. They met during World War II.
Wow.
And so she came back over, but tiny little place in southern England called Sheep's Tor.
Wow.
So the hill that had sheep on it. That gives you an idea probably how small the place was. But so traced it way back there, and through the name changes all the way back. So I mean, it's interesting to see where your roots are. And then of course everybody does now the 23andMe and the Ancestry.com to sort of get an idea of where you come from. So having those little things, because it can be complicated trying to go back and trace your family tree. So any sort of help that you can have for that.
And some misinformation often creeps into family trees, that sort of thing.
But I mean, for me, when we were researching it, the biggest thing that I found that was a problem is a lot of people name their children the same thing over and over again. So
it's easier to keep up with your kids. You know?
So I mean, when you had one William Baynard, and then you had another William Baynard, and then you had another William Baynard, I'm like, okay, which generation am I on now?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So wading through all that can be kind of problematic.
Sure.
And then the other thing you mentioned too was, U.S. Constitution. Everybody is paying more attention to politics these days, and I mean that to me is just been one of those things that's. I don't know. I've been in school a while, but I mean, it sort of seems to be phasing out a little bit. Civics is very important for everybody to know.
Oh, yeah.
Local, politics and helping improve the neighborhood that you live in, the communities you live in. All those are based on civics and government and knowing your rights as an American citizen.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. The Lego place stands out to me. Lego sets are massively expensive to buy. Just even something simple could be $50. So what a great gift to the community to be able to come in, get your Lego fix, and like wonderful library system. It's free and
yes.
Excuse me. The main thing I know about Legos is you don't want to step on one.
No.
This is true. Spoken from experience.
And you have the added bonus of not stepping on them.
And then you can use some colorful new vocabulary that you learned. Well, we were talking about earlier, we do have a Spanish language podcast that, for here in the Low Country that does really well because we actually have a lot of Spanish speaking folks. So the Berkeley County Library System also offers a lot of Spanish programming, language programming in the community. Why do you feel like that's important, especially for like Berkeley County?
We started to notice that there are different Hispanic communities in our region, and so we wanted to be able to provide programming like we have the Spanish Story Time in the Hanahan Library, and we have the Hello English in Goose Creek, which is for non-native speakers, where they can play games and learn English. And there have been times that we've had other bilingual story times, and I anticipate in the future that we will probably have more because the Spanish community needs it.
Yeah. Well, and it's great to bring native Spanish speakers together with native English speakers. We do a good bit of Spanish language outreach to our membership. In the Goose Creek District, we have a significant Spanish-speaking population as well as out on Johns Island. And so we team up with the River Dogs, and they bring some of their Spanish-speaking players out to the Johns Island Library.
I saw that. Yeah. That's really awesome.
And it's just wonderful. It's mostly English-speaking families that tune in, but it's such a wonderful cultural experience for them to hear the story in English and Spanish and sing some songs and just have that experience to share. And so even if you don't speak Spanish, some of these programs might be fun for you to check out. And
yes,
can maybe
absolutely
make a new friend.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, I mean, in terms of Spanish-speaking communities, I mean, people think, Mexican, Spanish, but I mean, we have a growing and diverse, like you said, Spanish-speaking population here in the Low Country. I mean, I know we've got Portuguese, so the Brazilian, and then the other ethnicities as well.
Yeah.
I know that the Filipino community is growing substantially here.
Yeah.
I think Portuguese is our next biggest one,
Right.
After Spanish.
I believe that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're seeing an influx of folks. And, I mean, it's obviously, culturally you want to be able to still speak your own language, but just in terms of assimilating in everyday life, it's a lot easier once you learn English, although learning English is not exactly an easy thing.
I'm still learning myself.
One of the harder languages to learn because it's actually a conglomerate of French, English, Spanish, and Latin, Greek, everything in between. Yeah. It's.
Well, I'm trying to learn Spanish. I'm using the Duolingo app.
Okay.
So I try to, if I go to a community, I try to say one or two sentences just to And it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy.
And what I have found is that once you speak a little bit of Spanish, they light up, and you get a torrent of Spanish thrown back at
Yes.
you.
That's when you say un pequeño.
Un poquito. Yes.
Pequito.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Very
pequito.
little.
Yes.
Very little.
And yes, emphasize this.
We were in Miami recently, and we had to run into the gas station to use the restroom. And my perception of Miami is the dominant language is Spanish there, but the woman at the gas station, wonderful, clean establishment. I asked her for the key, and she said in Spanish, "Don't lose this key. It's the only one I've got." And I don't speak a lick of Spanish really, but I could understand from the nonverbals that, she was giving me something and I better bring it back. She was an older woman, so it was message understood. I brought it back.
Right.
Yes, as I found out from our friend Yahaira, if you do something that she doesn't like, you will get a torrent of Spanish thrown at you that way too.
And you will understand
and
it.
I will understand it. I might not understand the words, but I understand the intent behind it. Yes. Love you, Yahaira, in case you're listening.
Yeah. Aw, Queen Latina. So, Lori, if someone's looking to get involved in the community, do the libraries offer volunteer opportunities? And if so, how do folks get involved?
Yes, we do offer volunteer opportunities. They can visit any branch and just ask for a volunteer application. The volunteers are required to submit to a background check. We also have a digitization department, which has volunteer opportunities. And those job descriptions can be found under berkeleylibrarysc.org/about-us.
And if they want to find out more about the Berkeley County Library and stay up to date on the latest programming, I'm sure y'all got a bunch of social media as well.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The website has all the information. We have all the programs, events on there, and the event calendar. So the website is berkeleylibrarysc.org. And our Facebook is at Berkeley Library SC. Our Instagram is at BerkLib, LIBSC. And X is at BCLS.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
In my mind, though, just to talk briefly about just libraries in general, I think that they were one of the more important public spaces that we have. Not everybody's going to be able to buy a book off of Amazon. Not everybody can afford an internet subscription so they can go online. So having a library as a resource for a community, I think, is vital as an access point for everybody.
Yeah.
The kids can go in, do their homework. Adults can come in and learn about things that they need to improve their station.
Technology, language.
Right.
Yeah.
Toastmasters,
Yeah.
Learn how to present themselves and speak, which is important for job interviews.
Yep.
So having the library as a resource, I think, is one of the things that these days everything's online these days. So
Yeah,
that's the thinking of most folks. First thing we turn to online, but having the library there with all of those resources, I think, is, like I said, it's key to a successful community.
Yeah, and like you said, access is 100% key here. Even in Berkeley County, there's some areas that don't have good internet access, or maybe the people living there don't have the technology available, and everything's online. If you want to apply for a job and you don't have a computer or you don't have internet access,
Right.
how are you going to get out and get a job?
I was just at the St. Stephen Library yesterday, and they were telling me that they have a lot of customers that come in, and they are at the library all day using the free Wi-Fi, using our computers, and using everything they need for their business or for whatever. If they don't have a computer, they can use our computers, and sometimes in the rural communities, it's difficult to get the
Right.
Wi-Fi signal.
Oh, no, definitely.
Or either someone it's not affordable.
No, absolutely.
So they come to
Right.
the library and they get that free resource.
Mhm.
And they're very appreciative of it.
Yeah, and if you're of a certain age, the 40, 50 crowd and younger, you either grew up with it or, you got into it at a young enough age to where it's more second nature. But if you're much older, 60 or 70 plus, you may not have the knowledge for how to use the technology. So it's great to have some support and as well as the access.
I think the other side of it too is that we just need to remember to introduce our children to libraries and all the resources that are there, because like I said, the first instinct is grab your tablet, grab your phone, go online, do this, do that. But I mean, introducing the children to the resources and just the worlds that get opened up through reading, and all the stories that are available, all the programs that are available through the library.
Well, and Micah, you mentioned as a younger person, you and your brother and your dad all played Dungeons and Dragons together. Think of those memories that you made. You don't have those same memories staring at a screen.
No.
I mean, and you go anywhere, we're all lost on our screens, and these are opportunities and to create memories and connections with other people. And the library is free and open to all.
And connects you to a wider world.
Yeah.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in to Power Talk. This is the official broadcast of your electric cooperative, and you can catch up on past episodes on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. And as always, get a behind-the-scenes look on Berkeley Electric's YouTube channel. So until next time, this is Power Talk, signing off.